In this movie I want to talk about how to insert and move door and window objects in walls. This is not specific to WinDoor, it applies to the NNA door and window objects, or even for symbols that are being inserted into walls. I've got a layer here with just 3 simple walls on it, and I'll begin by taking the WinDoor tool and explaining the options up here in the mode bar. Now you can see here that I have a preview of this object under the cursor, and these options here control where the insertion point is in relation to where the mouse is. The first one, if I click on this one, will insert about the left hand point, and you can see that the cursor is now under the left hand edge of the object. This will insert under the center of the object. This is the right hand edge of the object, and this is the user defined or the programmer defined insertion point. Mostly it's in the center as well, so there'll be no difference between this one here and this one here. So let's go ahead and choose the left hand insertion point, and if we now come down and put the cursor over a wall and we click once, you'll see that I can then move the mouse and flip it over that line, and then as a WinDoor object you then, if it's an external wall, you want to click, your second click wants to be on the outside of the wall to correctly orient the window or door object so that sills are on the correct side, and if it's a door, that the in-out conventions chosen in the object info palette are being complied with. So that's fairly self-explanatory. Let's take the tool again and look a bit more at this. So still with our left hand insertion point, we also have the option to be able to measure from a corner point when we insert using this option here. So we've got a left hand, and by the way, you have to choose the insertion point before you click this object here, this option here. You see now I can't choose the insertion point, so you need to do that first. Then you click this, and the cursor is now this little crosshair. It wants me to click where I want to measure from. Let's say it's this corner, and once I click and I'm over the wall, I'm now seeing the preview of the window object again. And if I want it roughly about 2100, I don't have to get it exact. If I click when I'm close to where I want it, now I go back to the normal insertion mode. I can flip it about that line. I then do my second click on the outside, or my third click in this case, on the outside of the wall, and the difference now will be that we'll get this dialog that comes up to confirm what I want, and here I wanted 2100, so I'll enter 2100 in there, click OK, and the object will adjust itself to be 2100. And just while we're looking at these other options, this option here will prevent an object from inserting into a wall. So if I come over the wall now and click on the wall, it will just insert a floating WinDoor object that actually wasn't in the wall. Now you wouldn't normally use this with door and window objects because you want them to go into the wall, but there are other symbol objects that often you don't want to insert into walls, and that option allows you to prevent that from happening. That's this one here. And of course this is the WinDoor Preferences button. Now let's take a look at how you can position an object in a wall. Obviously you can just drag it, or should I say reposition an object in a wall. You can drag it like I've just been doing. You can use the position button up here in the object info palette, and you'll get a diagrammatic representation of the wall, and this number here is representative of the distance from the center corner point. In other words, whichever of these has the highlight in it. We're currently measuring from the center of this mitre to the center of the object. We always measure to the center of the window or door, but we only want to move this object in this case, and so measuring from the left hand end of the wall, we just want to increase this number. So if I go plus 175, click OK, then the object will move 175. So you don't really have to worry too much about this diagram here, you just know that you're either going to increase this number if you're measuring from the left, or decrease this number if you're measuring from the right, in order to move the object to the right in the wall in this case. So the next way that you can move an object in a wall is using the 2D Reshape tool. And if we take this tool, you need to draw a marquee around the selected object. And if I do that just by click dragging, now I can drag this object in the wall. But more importantly, I can use the move command and specify an offset distance and move this in the wall. Now this also, if I duplicate this, and you can duplicate an object in a wall by holding the Alt or Option key and dragging over the wall. If I make a few of these objects and take the 3D Reshape tool, if I select the three of them, which you can now do, and I take the 3D Reshape tool, draw a marquee around them, and I can do the move again, and this time all of the objects within the marquee will move. So that's how you can move and position objects in a wall fairly accurately. If you wanted to specify a distance between two objects, let's just zoom in a little bit, I could drag this object so that it touched this object here, then use the 2D Reshape tool to move it a specific distance. Let's say it was 230, I wanted to move it. Or I could have also used the position button here to move it that distance as well. Now the final thing I want to show in this movie is the use of this new Move by Points tool. Let's say you want to duplicate this object in this wall a number of times. If you select the Move by Points tool and have your object selected, and then in the mode bar we choose the second option here, which is the distribute mode, then we click the preferences button, and let's say we want 4 of these duplicates and we want to retain the original being this. If we click OK, and I now click on the right hand edge and drag up here, what I'm going to get are those duplicates distributed between the start of this line that I'm drawing and the end of this line. And if I click here, you'll see that I get the 4 duplicates with the spacing, equal spacing between them. You'll also see that when you have multiple objects selected, you can also drag them all together in a wall. So that's pretty well covers how you can work with objects in walls, moving and inserting them.